name is Kyle. I work with MAINSTAGE Theatrical as the installing company for installing all of this equipment. I also work with ETC, the electronic theater controls, as far as the manufacturer for this equipment. So I am the field installer. We put it in, we service it, and in 20 years replace it when we need to update it. So that's how we roll on that one. Now we're going to start off with these button stations right here. They're going to be located all over the venue, all over the facility. You've got 5 button stations. You've got a couple of 10 button stations. You've also got a couple of 1 button stations. Now the beauty of this is that they are customizable to a point via the touch screens that are located dotted around the building. So you can record the preset content and change it, modify it as you see fit on a daily basis. For every single event that comes in here, you can tailor these buttons, so then you don't have to go to the touchscreen to make changes. You can just preset recall on any one of these, and then of course we have a couple of off for off. That's how that one works. The indicator light on there just basically says what preset is activated and everything. Currently, right now, they're the same preset on either side. But when we do go into things like room combine and room splits and things like that, these do separate off and will control individual zones of rooms versus the entire global room. I'm going to be using terms like global zones and rooms and spaces and things like that. So please let me know if it gets confusing. It took me a good minute to actually get it together on that and everything. But once you do get that light bulb moment, it makes sense on there. So you hit the button, lights will magically happen. Yay! That's what we want to see. And then that basically will go through and do all sorts of things. We do have an off feature. However, the off is not really off for a couple of lighting fixtures for emergency egress and everything like that. So you're never leaving in the dark. You have a light to shine you to an exit sign and an exit. And so with that being said, every single space has a button station in there. So this space has a 10 button station for this hallway. This room back over here behind me has a 5 button station running to the other side of this wall. That room's got a button station in it, and the other 3 other spaces also have a button station in it. When we migrate over to the touch screen and everything, that's where you can actually fully customize what the content of that button will recall. Yeah?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so let's go migrate over to that touch screen. All right, so I wake up the Crestron panel because I want to make sure that we have the difference. Crestron panel is going to be taking care of the audio video. Any type of video content, any type of audio content that needs to be played through will be going through the Crestron system. The Crestron system has no communication to Paradigm and the architectural lighting control system. It can if you'd like. We can go down that road if you so desire to have one button do everything. We can definitely make that happen. So currently right now, if you want to do lighting controls, this is not the panel to go to. This one will not do anything for you. However, this one right here will be the one you would like to go to, the white one versus the black one. Now, when you tap on the screen, this is just basically just a cute little screen just for if somebody taps on it or wakes up the screens. It's not going to be jarring or anything that's going to be distracting too much. You tap on the screen again, it's going to give you to the scary, ominous warning page. And basically, this is here to keep people like me from coming in here and pressing buttons and everything like that. If you don't know how to use this, don't use it, kind of thing. When you hit proceed, it brings up a keypad. The keypad has a passcode on it, so only those that know the passcode can get into it. Hooray! There are no options for adjusting lighting control without the keypad. You have to have the key code in order to do any type of level changes or preset recall from this station and this station alone. Now, we will get into it in just a few moments, but there is a station lockout feature that can be enabled from this touchscreen device. And basically, station lockout will lock out all of the button stations, and then the sole control will be from this guy behind the password protected keypad. So if you do have a look that you're set and you've got a venue or a big whole exhibit hall show in here and you just want everything to stay the same and you find people are just gonna, lean against the button stations, they do trigger lighting looks. That's how it pops lights on in the middle of a theatrical show. It pops on different lighting changes and things like that. So doing a station lockout will lock out this button station so you can bang on this all you want, nothing's gonna happen to it. Before we get into the keypad, there's two buttons. There's a help and a job info. Help is basically how to use the touchscreen. It's like a little iPad. We try and use the KISS rule. It's one of my favorite rules because just keep it simple. And that's exactly what we've done. We've got buttons that will illuminate when the preset or whatever button is pressed is activated. We have faders, and then we also have the ability of having fader switches. So you just can do 0 to 100% on there. It just gives you a quick little blurb about all that, how to use the interface. When you go back to the home page, it takes you back to this. Job info. Job info is a very, very important screen for you. Why is it important? Well, it's got information on the job. It's got the MAINSTAGE tech support number on there. When problems happen, not if, but when problems happen, give us a call and we will be able to give you technical support. And if it goes beyond us and we need to go through the factory, then we'll be able to get on the call with the factory and everything and help three-way call this into a working order and everything like that. ETC, to get on a side note tangent real quick, ETC is known in the industry as far as a theatrical company. Their bread and butter is theaters. Their bread and butter is Broadway. Their bread and butter is colleges and education markets and things like that. Now, their bread and butter is also architectural, things like convention centers. They've done the full lighting system in Phoenix International Airport. Doing airport lighting with Paradigm is a huge-antic feat, and they're accomplishing it with extreme ease and use. So you've got a stellar system in this building that's going to be very reliable for many years, but when things start breaking and you give ETC a phone call and everything, on the job info, there's a ETC job number. When you give them that job number at tech support, it pulls up all of their drawings for your space. It pulls up their touchscreen configuration. It pulls up the entire Paradigm configuration. It pulls up everything that we have done with the ETC name on it, that we have the ability of saving and config, pulls up all of that information, because after this install is completed, we send all that information back to ETC. So ETC is looking at the same stuff that I would be looking at for you and walking you through any type of tech support that you might need. So they are probably industry standard for the entire world when it comes to theatrical lighting and architectural lighting, and I'm not biased at all, but they honestly do have the best customer service support team in the industry ever. I have used them 24/7, and I do mean that. You can call at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and actually get through to a human being with a heartbeat. You're good. So you're covered on that as far as the factory. You're also covered with us because we will come out, we will service the stuff. We will also do everything we can in our power to troubleshoot when it becomes past our scope. Then we'll divert you to the factory so that way they can get into the more nitty-gritty, nerdy kind of things like that. So we do have also a bunch of contact information as well for the individual installers and the system engineers, as well as the project manager and everything like that. So all that contact information is in that job info button that's easily accessible. Those are the only two buttons that you can access within the non-password protected portion of the screen. Now, 2515. That is the code to get into the touchscreen. All touchscreens. So this touchscreen and the two others. 2515. When you go into that, it will, all the touchscreens are going to look the same. Their content's going to be slightly different, but they're all gonna look the same. They're all gonna dump you onto a select your control area page. And there's going to be, in this case, there's 2 buttons. Upstairs in the one that in the IT room, there's I think like 6 or 7 or 8 buttons on there. There's another ones that are just 1 button and everything, but they will always dump you to this page. So from there, also you have a help, exit, and an info button. Help and info are the same as the other ones, so you can get to that when you're in the password protected portion. So obviously you'll just tap on the button or the space you want to control, and then you can go through and control the entire space with lighting. Very, very easily, very, very simply. Things like room combine, all of the air wall partitions and everything like that. Right now, Paradigm thinks that all the air walls are put away and this is one massive room. Okay, well, that's not the case in this moment. So you'll come into the exhibit hall, you'll hit the room combine tab, and then basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna find the space that you're in, which I believe this is zone 3. You're gonna then tap on the air walls and say, these air walls are now closed and this is its own room. So now when you go back into zone 3, we can then do downlight control, as I just black out, sorry about that guys. But you can do lighting changes as you see fit, and then the other rooms are going to be left unaffected. So that is one of the beauties of having these set up. Now, if you don't like the content that's in here or you want to change it, that's fantastic. That's super easy. Go ahead and reset your fader to whatever you'd like. There is a record button on here. Tap the record button, record comes lit up, and then your 4 presets are also lit up. So then you just hit record, tap on the preset you want that to be dumped to, and now that will record that content of the fader content to the preset. Any questions on that so far? Super easy. It's super easy. Once you know one, you know them all. Now, what's really cool is that's also pushed in real time to your button station. So these 4 presets and the off correspond to these 4 presets and the off on every single button station. When you do this as a full open space and you record it to preset 1, it will then record all that information to preset 1 and push it to all the button stations. In this case, I'm in room combine. Now this button station is only accessible, and this button station is now only controlling just this room. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So the room combine feature is great and fantastic. It does give you the ability to do custom presets. So if you do want to step through a couple of looks, they will actually fade in a 2-second time from one look to the next. So it's not just a quick snap, a quick jump to lighting changes and everything. You do have the ability to make it look nicer and go through and do somewhat of a sequenced look if that ever does pop up, which in the event world, weird requests like that happen more often than not. Right? So these touchscreen stations also do have a timeout feature. So when after like a minute or a minute and a half of inactivity, they will dump back to the splash screen, which is beyond the password protected. So you can walk away knowing that, okay, it's not just gonna sit up there and somebody else can make changes. I will, as a word of caution, when you do make manual changes to your levels and then leave them, they will stay like that. But if you come over here and change the preset or go into anything, those levels are now changed and you've lost that manual set. So just know that when that happens and everything, you'll have to go back in, reset your manual levels, and then call it a day from there. We're gonna sign back in, go back into that. Now the other thing I wanted to let you know about is the lockout button, and that basically does the station lockout. So once station lockout is enabled, it's gonna be glowing red with a little thing here. And now the button stations are inoperable. You can push on all of these and it's not going to do anything. Really, really easy. This is just a toggle, so you toggle it off by hitting it, and now the button station is reactivated. I do believe there is a timeout feature on the station lockout for 4 to 6, 8 hours, something in that mark. So if you do the lockout and everything, it won't stay like that when you want to come pull up lights in the morning or something like that. So it will auto release after a good amount of time. Don't ask me how I know that one. That was there's a little bit of a oh God, why is nothing working moment the next morning. Station lockout, it's gonna bite you sometimes. So just note that it will also bite you. You do have individual control as well, which individual control is just basically an individual zone by zone control button that it's just a little bit of a feature to help make things a little bit easier for you. Any questions on that? Great. All the zones are set up exactly the same. Room combine for any touchscreen around the space is going to be set up exactly the same. The only difference between this room combine and say the room combine up in the ballrooms upstairs, it changes for the space, so you actually get a model of the space itself. So this one has a bit of a different architectural look. We try to emulate that on the touchscreen so that way it looks a little bit easier to divvy out. So when you hit the back button, it does take you to the select your control area page. You got your circulation lobby buttons, which do the exact same thing of what you can do in here. So again, it's all laid out the same. Everything's been labeled for your convenience. So I love labeling. I love having the ability of knowing what you're controlling instead of it being circuit 1. I have no idea what circuit 1 is. So we've definitely made sure to make that be very, very easy. You do, in the circulation lobby, have the ability of recording preset content to the button stations, to the presets that are actually out for that space and everything like that. So again, guests come in and say, oh, well, I want to have these dimmed down a little bit. You can definitely have that. You can record that to a preset, and then you can record that, recall that from a button station that is out there, so that for just sheer convenience. Yeah, any questions on that? That takes care of this touch screen. Obviously, the exit button takes you, logs you out, takes you, exits you. Yeah, faboo. We try to make it very easy. 2515. Yep. Don't forget it. So again, select your control area. We'll do exterior. You've got the ability of, right now they're off, but if you want to trigger something or trigger a different look, you've got different looks for the mosaic timelines and everything like that. These are on a timer. Through Mosaic and Paradigm. They're working together in tandem in order to go through and every night put on the look, and then every morning fade them out and make them look nice and pretty.
And then it goes back to a general setting, correct?
Right now the general setting is off for the daytime.
No, right, but I mean when it goes back, because like I've played around and I've done the patriarchy, I've done the breast cancer, I've done the pride, whatever. Come back in the next night, it goes back to that original blue chaser.
Yeah, so if say for just tonight you want it to be breast cancer pink, it'll do that for just tonight until you change it and everything like that. And then tomorrow it'll just dump back to its normal scheduled program. We do have it set up on a time clock, an astronomical time clock, as well as a holidaical. That's a new word. Holidaical. New word. Time clock as well, so it'll automatically adjust things for like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, all that other stuff like that. So if you do want that ability to be adjusted and everything, we can definitely make that, make those adjustments. But right now, it's just all automatic.
Okay.
One less thing to worry about.
Exactly.
I love it. You've got different colors and everything like that for choosing everything, and then you can do facade all. And this is going to pull up color picker, to which you can actually go through and do real-time changes, or you can go in and hit the RGB and everything and then do changes on that. Now just note, The processor on these touchpads is very reminiscent to a second generation iPad. While it's more than enough for what we need in this application, you will notice lags like that. That is normal. Just realize it's a second generation processor in the from an iPad.
Okay.
It's not the only thing that they ripped off from Apple, which is great, and I love it. So you do have the ability of doing multiple different colors and different setups and everything like that. So the facades are just set up in groups and things.
Yep.
And then you've also got the ability, I guess, of recording more in there.
Okay.
Corridor
Yep.
looks the same as everybody else. I just totally canceled you out of that. My bad. The Skyway, again, looks the same.
Yep.
Everything else, it's all laid out the same. So that's pretty much one of the joys of us doing these touchscreens like this, especially in multiple spaces. Again, you know one, you know them all.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
It's just playing with it.
Exactly. Okay.
Getting in there, playing with it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that one. Short, easy, to the point.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool. Nice.
We have light. So there is a current issue where there's two issues that I've diagnosed and have given over to the electricians for them to work on and everything. The first one being these RGBW linear fixtures that are above. So there's an interconnect cable that's a cute, convenient, all-in-one power and DMX cable.
Okay.
So the problem was I wasn't seeing the other three and everything.
Okay.
I found out that when I looked at the cable and took the connector apart, that the DMX pin, because it's a positive and a negative, the positive was gone.
Oh boy.
So we have to get a new connector from Lumen Pulse and everything.
Okay.
So the electricians are going to work on that. They're going to get it set up and replaced. So currently, right now, I set these guys on as like a power on default blue.
Okay. Yep.
So that way they're on.
Right.
And showing, because power's working just fine. They're not getting told what to do.
Okay.
So it's gonna be right up above this one and everything. I've labeled it the connector, so the electricians, it's pretty immediate, you should see. So that's just basically you've got a power and data input from the control box in the soffit above there that goes to this fixture, and then they just daisy chains down the line through the soffit and everything.
Okay.
So those fixtures are all addressed, ready to go in the programming. So in theory, that should just be a plug and play moment.
Okay.
Assuming the cable doesn't get damaged.
Right. Okay.
So just note when you do changes on there, those are gonna stay blue. So
Yep. Okay.
So it is included in the preset. I can remove those colored fixtures out of there so that they're only controlled from the touchscreen that's in the IT room. That's personally how I would prefer to do it, because you want just the lighting to be controlled just by the white lighting and everything.
Right.
But I can leave that up to yours. You do have some dimming control. The electricians know about the linear fixtures that have bad drivers and everything like that, so they're getting some replacement ones.
Okay.
So what's happening with those flickering ones,
Right.
and this is also why I want to take those off, is because this is dimming the power down.
Yes.
And so those are, I want to be on all the time fixtures and let DMX do the dimming kind of thing. So
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. I would take those off.
yeah, so that's gonna be, I'll do that today before we head out and everything. So that's a quick adjustment.
Yep.
Totally simple. But you do have the ability of turning off the system and everything, and the line that is not off are your emergencies and everything, and they will stay on all the time.
Okay.
You have no control over those. So just note that when you do a 25%, these guys are going to be 100.
Yes.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Right, exactly.
So
The only question I got, and I should have brought this back up, is downstairs when we were at the main panel down there. Is that light directly above?
that's a driver issue that
Is
is
that
not
okay?
responding. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Again, the electrician. I've already worked it with the electrician.
Yeah, Tim and I have talked about it a couple times too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've given Tim a couple of he's got my card, so he's got contact information for asking any other questions that do pop up. But he's also got the linears up here. He's got the Lumen Pulse, and then the flickery thing that's up there and that one down there. So he's got those on his list and everything. I'm here to help out and everything with any DMX questions, because I know that Tim's not a DMX guy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm more than helpful in this atmosphere. This is where I got you.
Okay.
Around the corner is more of the lumen pulse fixtures. Currently, right now, they're just all on blue.
Okay.
We do have the ability of changing the color of those from the touchscreen. Let's go to the touchscreen.
Awesome.
Segue. So, touchscreen, another one. You wake it up, does the same thing. You hit the screen again, does the same thing. Hit proceed, does the same thing. There's a theme here.
Yeah.
So, again, 2515 is your control password for this one. This one does have the ability of modifying everything up here on this floor, except for the ballrooms themselves.
Okay.
Inside the ballrooms, at least. We can affect the lumen pulse lighting in the lobby. You've got color pickers right here.
Okay.
They're labeled for the doors, the coves, and everything like that. And then there's also one that says Coves All. Tap on Coves All. It brings up your RGB flavors, and then that way, and the color wheel. So then you can go through and just kind of do the magical little train wreck right here that's going to just put everybody in different colors. You can also change the intensity of those fixtures as well, very, very simply. Or if you really wanted to get a little granular on it, you can go into the RGB flavors and I want to put in just like a little bit of green, or I want to take out the green and just have the blue, things like that. You can definitely have those done. You do also have the ability of having presets. Again, these presets will go and modify the presets that are on that 5-button station out there. So you can do record and preset 1, and that is recorded to preset 1 and pushed to preset 1. If you want to change individual codes, these are DMX fixtures, so you can have one door be blue, one door be green, one door be red, one door be whatever color of the frickin' rainbow that you want it to be. You do have the ability of setting that. Once you set that look up, you can record it to a preset and recall it from the button station out there if you want to have it going from, in different looks and things like that. So if you do have meeting room events where you're going to have breakout sessions or things like that, you can say everybody go to the orange room today. Then you can hit the preset and then change that over to orange or whatever. So you can really definitely get it a little bit more easier for that done from here. So when you hit back and everything like that, meeting rooms, those are the meeting rooms. Same way, tap on those. You've got the side linears around the perimeter, and you've got the interior linears. You can modify those guys and then record those to presets, and those presets will push to the button stations inside this specific room that they're in. Okay. Very, very simple. For those rooms that do have the room combined flavor and an air wall, you can tell it, hey, I'm separated, or you can tell them, hey, I'm one room. You can do that. And now the button stations will affect the whole room, or when the air wall is closed, will affect the room that it is in. Okay. Questions on that? Nope. Super simple, super easy. I love it. And the balcony has the 1x4s that are up there on there. So you do have the ability of dimming those. Dimming those down. Now, granted, you can dim them down, but there are every other one, emergency, or every other 2 or something like that. However, the emergency line is run, again, like the other lights, you have no control over those emergency ones, so they will always be on. You can tap on the button at the top if you want to get stupidly granular with it by the individual degree. You can definitely do that. You can also tap on the fader in there and jump to a specific level on there. You can do that with all the faders. So that's just a thing. And then also down here, you do have the ability of lowering it. Yeah. Any questions on that? Fabuloso. Let's go to the ballroom. Welcome to your ballrooms. That is a known issue. That is a termination/terminator fix. I've already worked it through with Tim and everything. So he's just going to look at those. They're just going to be a little bit more difficult to get to because it's always the ones that are in the best places known to man that are going to be the ones that's going to hate life a little bit. So again, touchscreen. These are portable. These ones you can come in here. Again, tap on the screen, tap on the screen, tap on the screen. 2515, enter. I'm doing this upside down. That's kind of impressive. I'm not going to lie. With that speed, you do have the ability of changing the cove lighting to
Okay.
adjust the individual levels of that. If you want to do them just
Okay.
out and everybody's in blue, you do have the ability of doing that. Right now, we're doing the entire space
Right,
because the air walls are currently open. You tap on the big RGBW linear button. I couldn't make
Right.
it any bigger. I wanted to. I did want it to do the full screen and everything, just because it'd be funny, but I guess not. So you do have the ability. This is what I was talking about with the lawn cable
Yep.
and everything. So it's going to take them a little bit of time
Right.
to change colors. So just bear with it.
Yep.
It will change. You do have the ability of doing every single color. You just don't have the ability of doing that because it's going to
Right.
do it, but
Yep.
it's just going to be a couple seconds. It's actually, these fixtures do a really nice cyan that I was very impressed with. There we go. That was
Very.
fairly impressive cyan right there. I was like, all right. So again, you do have the RGB flavors on
Okay.
here of changing the intensity value of the linear
Yep, yep.
fixtures as well, all the way out or all the way on, as you see fit. You do have the ability of doing, individual color changes and things
Okay.
like that. Once you get your color looked, set up and everything, record, hit it to a preset, that pushes it to the preset station right here. So then you can recall your presets as you see fit.
Okay.
With different content. So currently right now I have them all in blue, but when you hit preset 3, it's actually going to change them to magenta and
Okay.
everything. So you do have the ability of putting different colors in here.
Okay.
Now here is the rub, because the question will be asked, it always does, can I have that light blue, that light green, that light red, that light... You can,
Right.
but it's a you can but situation. In order to do that, you would need a theatrical lighting console to push the DMX data to that. Paradigm is pushing DMX data to tell them what to do, but Paradigm, being an architectural controller, loves to do static looks.
Okay.
Paradigm likes to have it, I want this look forever until it's told to move on to the next look kind of thing.
Okay.
If we want to do anything active, like really cool color chases down the walls, everything, you have the ability of doing that. We just need a theatrical lighting console in order to actually push that kind of stuff down. That would probably be a day 2 purchase that I would suggest would be really good for you guys. The downside is that we don't have a network jack into our rack in the space.
Okay.
So it would just be like a 100-foot network cable going to the rack. But once you set it and everything, you can get it set up, and then you can have the console sit in that rack room and chill
Yep.
in there, pushing
Okay.
all the looks and everything like that. So you do have the ability of doing
Right.
this.
Okay.
What's really, really cool with that is that you can do color chases and
Right.
things like that.
Okay.
The reason why Paradigm cannot do that, Paradigm does not have an effects engine.
Okay.
So the stuff that's going on outside where the movement is
Yeah,
going
yep.
with Mosaic, we could integrate these into Mosaic and everything. That's another way of doing it. And then we could do some Mosaic-like shows on these fixtures and things like that. So that would be also another avenue you could go down if you don't want to go through the lighting console.
Yep.
So it's just, there's multiple ways of doing it and everything. It would just be, let's figure out what would be best for you guys and how you'd want to do it and everything.
Okay.
But that would definitely be a great day 2 project
Okay.
for you guys. So once you get your looks set up on your touch screens, you like this look, you've recorded it to your button stations for all 5 button stations. Say if you have like a fashion show in here and they want to have, this song be this button, this song be this button, this song be this button, so on and so forth.
Right.
You can record all of that stuff to here. You can then pull this touch screen out of the mix, pull it away, put it in your office, and now the only control for this space is going to be from this button station. And then if you can press a button, you can run the show, kind of thing.
Yep.
So you have that ability as well.
Okay.
You do have the ability of station lockout in this space, but station lockout, when you pull out the touchscreen, will stay activated. So then at this point, if you have a look that you're like, I want to set it from the touchscreen and have no button station in this room change it at all, you can set it to that way and pull all the touchscreens out of here, and then that way, what they got is what they got.
Right.
Kind
Okay.
of thing. They can't change it until the touchscreen gets put back into the situation, station lockout has been disabled, and then we can make a change.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So that's one of those things where, yeah, we could have it look for the portable station, and the moment the portable station comes offline, it automatically releases station lockout, so there's some control on there. But again, with station lockout, we do have that automatic timer after 4, 6, or 8 hours. One of the three. I don't remember exactly the count. I think it's 4 or 6, where it does release after that timing and everything for cleaning lights and the next morning. So it's just it's see if you like how that operates, if that fits for your format and everything like that. And if it does, great, we can leave it. If not, we can always make that adjustment and email you the new config over. It's totally easy. Totally easy. Probably one of the favorite things in here is I'll let you peel off the plastic. So under there, you do have the ability of saving the touchscreen configuration file and everything. But I pull this down and everything just to show you. It's pretty basic in there. You do have an SD card slot in there to save on the SD cards that are very readily available.
Nice.
So you can save this. It's magical. This top of the line system and everything like that, and we get to save on an SD card.
Yeah.
Still better than the 3.5-inch floppy though.
Oh, that's true.
So that I still have to deal with. I have one in my backpack actually.
I got a couple of them over here.
They're great coasters too.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Any questions on any of the touchscreens, apparatuses, or anything out in the field or anything like that?
No, I guess my only one question is in here. If I don't put the walls in, still put the room combined here, or uncombined, or whatever, you know, so that I've got 3 separate rooms, I can take and plug this into each room and set each area color.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So each area can be its own separate color. And actually, I did not let them be in the whole room combined, uncombined kind of thing.
Okay.
So that, because of that reasoning right there, is because I can see you having more times than not of, I need this side to be blue, this side to be pink, that side to be green, kind of thing. Because again, event spaces, they're weird. They do those kind of things all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, and I got an event coming up here in the next couple of weeks or month that the band's down here. So I could see this being dark. Yeah. And then that being something else down that.
Absolutely. So you do have the ability of putting the closing the air wall, and then turning off these fixtures and those fixtures completely. Let them do their lighting as they do it and everything. And these guys are one room, and then you can have them do however they need to do. So every single space does have a button station on the service wall and does have a portable station on the service wall. On the other side of the wall is just a 5-button station. So these button stations are echoed as far as their content. So what's recorded onto the presets on there is pushed to here, and it's also pushed over to the doorway exits over there. So that you do have the ability on the service wall and the riverside wall as well. One thing I will note, the touch screens that are networked, your 3 touch screens. When I do a paradigm configuration update that changes the touchscreen configuration for the network ones, that automatically pushes over the network to those touchscreens. So they will automatically update and refresh. Now, when Paradigm has that and then the LAN cables are not plugged in, Paradigm's just going to hold that in just basically a buffer, and the next time this guy comes online and plugs in and everything, he's going to pop up with an error message, and it's going to be foreboding, and it's going to say config not found. What do you want to do? Do you want to copy from media? Do you want to download it, or do you want to cancel? Obviously, if you cancel it, it's just going to put it into the ETC page where you can have setup or service pin. Download will download it from the processor itself. Again, this is going to be dial-up. It's going to take legitimately 5 to 8 minutes for that config to download from the processor. I'm not kidding. It does take a hot minute for it to come down this line. If you copy it from media, you can do that on. I can send you like the touchscreen configuration file that I pull off of the config, and so I can put that on there. So then you can put it on a USB stick or the SD card, and then upload it via that way. That one's a little quicker, not by much, but a little bit quicker and everything. So you do have that ability. So when you do plug it in and you see it says config not found, okay, well that just means the config has changed for the touchscreen, and so it needs to just get that update from there. So normally, day-to-day usage, that's not going to happen. It's not going to be a thing. What will happen is you'll just plug it in. Actually, we can just do this right now because I already put the config in there. It's going to take a minute to boot because, again, it is an older processor, but it does exactly what we need for what this situation entails on it. It will boot up. It's like the best thing ever. It's one of my favorites. Nice catch. It does boot up. It does take a minute to boot up, so just be aware this is normal. This is what it does. So when it does kind of go through its booting process, it's going to go through everything right now. It's just, it's just like old school computer. Boots into DOS, then boots into the OS, then boots into your config and sets up your file and your session state how you need it to be. So what this will do now is, since the config has already been downloaded from the processor, it's actually stored locally on here to make it a little quicker so it doesn't have to pull the config every time. So this is one of the screens that you will see. Setup gets you into the setup screen for setting up the touchscreen. Service pin, if you do have a connection issue or anything like that, service pin button just basically pings the processor, says, hey, send me your config, and that'll send you the config. But in normal circumstances, it should just do that and pop up straight to this screen right there. Yeah, any questions?
No.
Sweet, I love it. And then when you do actually close this, it doesn't turn off the screen. So but it will, the screen will sleep after a little bit, after the inactivity time. All right. Any questions on anything so far? All right, cool. We'll just leave these right here, and we'll make sure to put these back in the rack and everything like that. Right now, we've just been storing them in the rack, so when you open up the rack and everything, they'll just be stacked right there in the back. So they're kind of close, so they're not like right out in the open.
Works for me.
Yeah, cool. We'll start from this way, work our way over this way. All right. Man, I just cleaned these things, and they're already getting scuffed on. All right. So these are your power control systems. These are your, in a sense, dimmer racks. They're not actually dimmer racks, they are relay panels. They are set up to have standard circuit breakers on top. Each one of them are the same. These are 277 volt fed panels, so we're not actually utilizing 120 but 277 for all of the architectural control in here. So if you do work on anything electrically wise and everything like that, it's 277, not 120. It hurts a little bit more. Don't ask me how I know. So we have standard breakers. These are just standard breakers. On, off, that's it. There's nothing to them. Just like your old-fashioned circuit breakers in a house. So if you need to turn off power to a circuit or something, this is where you do it. In this cabinet right below here is going to be all the relays. Basically the remote control switches that Paradigm says, I need you to be off or you to be on, or something like that. That's where the relays are at. They do have a local switch on them as well, but obviously taking out all the screws, pulling the panel off just to do the switch, that's a little stupid. So again, these right here. Every single one of these panels does have a main breaker. So if you need to shut off this panel and this panel alone, this is where you do it. Throw this breaker, and that shuts off this panel and this panel alone. There is a control breaker. All of these are 20 amp breakers except for this control one. This control breaker is a 15 amp breaker, and all his job is to do is just to provide power to the processor right here. So the processor does a couple of things. The processor takes in the information from Paradigm saying, hey, circuit 19, you need to be on at 100%. Processor does, okay, circuit 19 on, put it 100%, done. Circuit 18, you need to be at 30%, so that's basically his job. He is your traffic cop as far as telling this guy what to do and what to be at. So you have a couple of things in this display screen. When you hit the back button, that does illuminate the screen for you for sheer convenience. So what it does have on there is at the top of it, you've got output statuses. Just a real quick way of seeing where your breakers are at, what your power is doing. Currently, everything's on at 100% except a couple of circuits because we've told them to turn off. They're not needed for that or whatnot. Paradigm's telling them to be off. You've got then just a bunch of other information below it, but the most important one is system OK. System OK is where you want to see. It's what you want to see all the time because it says system's OK. Now, when there is a, I believe this guy, he does. When a breaker is tripped, when a breaker has failed, all of a sudden you will see a error message pop up that says breaker's tripped. Doesn't tell you what breaker, because it's not that smart. It's smart, but not that smart. But it will tell you, I've got a problem. It also illuminates the red error light up here as well. If you've got network connectivity issues and everything, this is your Ethernet light, just like on a network switch. This is showing he's getting information. So, screen's telling me a breaker's tripped. Cool. I look at that. Oh, 18 is off or tripped or anything like that. All right, cool. We're going to reset it. Bam. Everything goes back to normal. Each one of these, same thing. Any questions on that? This one's pretty simple. This one's pretty easy. But again, it's 277. Don't play with those wires. They do hurt. They do have locking covers and everything like that, so you, I believe the keys are on top and everything, so you can lock the doors if you want them to be locked and everything. I actually say don't do that because while these are great and they are very reliable and very stable and will not really break, they are still electronics and they will break. So I will say it's always a good idea, at least once a month, open these up, make sure these say system okay and everything like that. Just once a month, once every 6 months, something like that, just to make sure you don't have any unforeseen errors or issues or anything like that within the processor. Because it will tell you here, but nothing's going to be pushing any information anywhere else until 5 minutes to a show or a fashion show or some sort of event, and then I'm trying to turn these lights on. I can't turn these lights on. Why can't I turn these lights on? Come over here. Oh, this panel is like exploded. Right. So, because that's not ever happened before, ever. So that's power control.
Okay.
Very, very easy. This only controls power. These do take care of the 0 to 10 volt dimming. So you've got two types of dimming in this space. You've got DMX dimming and 0 to 10 volt. These guys are doing the 0 to 10 volt dimming. There is a card in here that does that. So all the white light dims coming from here.
Okay. Before we go
Yes.
too much further, the lobby lights, is there a way of getting it to where we can put that on a switch to turn those off manually, besides having to come up and hit those two breakers all the time?
Okay, are those the emergency lights?
Nope, those are the spiral lights in the lobby over here.
Okay, you want to put these on a button station or something like that?
If I can.
Okay, yeah.
Problem is I've got some people down the street here that are complaining why we're lighting on lobby when we're not open. Yeah.
Sounds like a them problem.
Well, it is them, but it goes up the food chain to 6th floor at City Hall.
Yeah, so becomes a you problem.
It becomes my problem.
Yes, there is a way of doing that. We can just install a button station, or what we could do is a timed event in Paradigm, so that automatically at say I don't know 11:30 at night, and these two circuits turn off or dim if they are dimmable circuits.
Yeah, why don't we plan on at 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
to 7 a.m. they're off. Okay.
Easy.
Just plan on that.
Absolutely.
7 days a week.
Yep. Easy.
Okay.
Done. Consider that done. So then this way, it will Paradigm will tell 2 and 11 to turn off between those times, and then that way you don't ever have to worry about it again.
Perfect.
Easy. That's super, super, super easy.
Good.
So speaking of Paradigm, there should be. This is your control rack. This is the controller that tells everything what to do. This is all your low voltage data distribution. Paradigm, this is your one processor right here. This one processor is running this entire building. That's it. So I say that because this one processor is running your entire building. It's always good to have a spare. There's two parts of spares that I say to always have. Number one is going to be a compact flash card. Yeah, I haven't heard one of those in a long time, have you? Compact flash card. If you go to a if you go to like just a drugstore, Amazon, whatever, and just get a compact flash card and everything, and have that as a spare, you'll want to save the configuration file from Paradigm via USB stick.
Okay.
And then you can actually put that other compact flash card in the back side of it. You pull the processor out, it's just sticking right there in there. So you just swap the cards, put it back in, upload the config onto that compact flash card, and then that's basically your hard drive. So if you have a compact flash card error or failure in 5, 6, 8 years or something like that, you'll have that spare, that backup and everything like that.
Okay.
Now, just note that that will only store what you've currently stored. So if you do that today, 10 years down the line, whatever changes you've done, it restores you back to what it is today.
Okay.
So if you've got things that you want to look, things you want to save, any looks or things like that, I always recommend. I used to do it weekly because I worked on cruise ships, and I was on a new rotation or a new set of events every week. So I would weekly save my configs for architectural, my lighting controllers, things like that. Weekly save my configs. That might be a bit much for you guys and everything, so probably like once a month or once every 6 months, 3 months, something like that. Okay. Come up here and save your configs. You can do that via a great USB stick. Aha, hooray. So again, like these guys, you can hit the back button. That illuminates your screen. System OK. Hooray. This tells you just a little bit of information, the IP address of the processor itself. It's firmware that is currently on 4.2.4, which is up to date to the current standard. And then you've got 2 DMX output ports on the back side of this guy. Okay. And so the DMX outputs are actually running one output is running to the one group of ballroom fixtures, the next one is the next ballroom fixtures, and then this gateway is taking care of that third ballroom fixture as well. But that's how we're running those guys out. So hit the check mark, you'll get into the main menu. So you've got about, ARC setup, ARC control, file operations. So if I want to save to a thumb drive, well, logic dictates to me that I'm going to, yes, they did steal the iPod click wheel. It is awesome. I love it dearly. If you don't like it or it's too much of a learning curve, you can actually scroll it up like that. Check mark gets you in. You'll want to save the ARC config. When you hit that, it's going to give you just a quick name. You have the choice of saving it to an SD card or a USB key. Pick the one you want, saves it to it, you're good to go. When you want to load from it, you'll just load ARC config, choose what port, away she goes. So that's how you would roll that. So when you go through, you do have system OK. You will see if you've got button stations offline. There's an error light, just like on the Echo relay panels. There's error lights on those. There's error lights on this. So if you do have an error, a station falls offline. The portable stations, when they are not online and in the system, will not flash error because I turned that feature off because there's going to be lots of times where they're not plugged in. We know they're not plugged in, so they're portable stations, therefore they don't need to be error reporting on that. However, the network stations, the 3 networked touchscreens, those, if they do fall offline, will pop up with the error light. If any of the button stations go offline, the error light goes off and everything like that. So if you press on a button and there's nothing on there, come up here, see what Paradigm says. See what Paradigm says, because he will tell you this station, ES21 or ES2 or whatever, is offline. All right, great, fantastic, give us a call. We have the drawings, we can go through and say, okay, this station is this is offline. All right, let's check on this, let's check on this, let's check on this. And then we can go through and fix you up with everything like that you need troubleshooting wise. So, Paradigm, brain of your system. Excuse me. So you have a patch bay. This one's boring. All this is basically the network lines that run in the wall. This is the end of this. The other end is either on a touchscreen or some other station or something else. Or these 3 racks. That's basically all they are. The patch cable is just the jumper from one plug to the switch. The switch and paradigm are your 2 alpha and omegas in your entire system. If paradigm goes down, you're screwed. Really screwed, because you don't have any light. You have no way of a button station to generate the signal to tell lights what to do. However, there is a fix for that. When you are in that foobarred situation where this guy is dead, or you get a lightning strike, or God forbid the roof caves in and rips this off of the wall and these are magically okay, you can come over here to these panels, assuming they're powered. You can hit the light bulb. The light bulb brings up set levels, output check, and release set levels. This is going to be pretty important, pretty awesome, because you can set local levels for every single circuit individually from each panel to be at whatever intensity you want. So when you go into set levels 1 through 24, that's all 24 circuits, enter at 100%, enter. What that's now done is that has forced circuits 1 through 24 on to 100%. Now, locally, word of caution, if you do that, and paradigm magically comes back online, and now paradigm's trying to tell these circuits what to do, this is going to ignore what paradigm is doing until you release local levels. This is more of your panic setup and everything. This is your quick and dirty way of getting lights on at all costs, assuming this is online. This is the quick and dirty way of getting lights on real quickly.
Okay.
You don't have, you have the ability of dimming, but you don't want to do it, kind of thing. It's a pain in the butt. You can set it to a level, whatever level you want, anything from 0 to 100%, but just set it, leave it, and then when that has happened, I should be on my way over here already, because you've probably already given us the call, and we would have told you to do this exactly right there, and then we would get you set up into a solution that's working. But this is just a quick way of, oh shit, I got a show in like 5 seconds. We got to do something, kind of thing. This is we've hit the fan moment. So when you do hit the back button, it's going to set up a question. You've set levels. The set levels were left on. Do you want to leave them on, or do you want to release them? Now, when you hit yes, that's going to release those set levels and turn this guy from being local control to being DMX controlled, or network control from paradigm. When you hit no, that's a dangerous one, because it puts you back excuse me, into your standard operating procedure on here. System okay, system's doing everything. It's just normal right now. It's going to look exactly like the other ones, but it's not going to do anything. So the only way of knowing that is up at the top corner, there's a little L right up there, and that's telling me that that's in local control. So if that L is on, this is not going to be controlled by anything. It's just going to stay like it is until the end of time. If you do lose power to it, and power comes back and it resets and it goes back, then it will release those levels and then go back into control. But this is one of those points that I stress. It will bite you in the butt,
Right.
because it's done that to me a lot. You have the ability, when you hit the light bulb, of just releasing the set levels, and releasing set levels does just that. It releases all local set levels back to what paradigm is telling it to do, and everything. So when you do get those the show done with, and you're through and you're ready to turn those lights off, you can release set levels, and then go about your business, go about your day. So that's what to do if paradigm is offline.
Right.
What to do if the switch is offline? The switch is your other alpha and omega of your system. This is one of those things that has a shelf life of about 8 to 10 years. Push it to 12, but every 10 years you're going to want to replace your network switch. That's been about the lifespan that I've noticed for the theatrical system. So basically this whole system is set up in a star pattern. Everybody goes back to this. This is your one failure point that is crucial, because if this is not in the system, there's no light at all. So this is also one of those things where it's not anything too magical as far as the config going. If you do have the moment, again, lightning strike, or the switch takes a dump, or power supply blows in it, or something happens. Again, it's electronics, it does it. You can make a real quick trip over to Best Buy, just buy a 24-port switch or whatever switch they have in there, and put it online and plug it back in, and you can have a temporary setup until you get a replacement for the rack. So the good thing about this is that every single one of these ports are outputting and inputting the same information. So it's not like that this has to be plugged into its port. It can be plugged into anything on there. So it doesn't really matter on that aspect. But I always stress and freak people out about this, because this is probably one of the most important pieces in the entire whole lighting system, even more important than the emergency system, because this is what gives you light.
Right.
This is what tells lights what to do. This gives you the light.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome. Again, super easy.
Yep.
You can use CDW or Walmart, whatever.
Exactly.
It,
And usually I got about 5 of them on the shelf, so.
there you go. Always have spares.
Mm-hmm.
You do actually have the ability, and this is really cool that we didn't actually go into, but if you have a wireless access point that we can configure to a 10.101 IP scheme, I can email you if you shoot me an email. I can email you how to set up the ETC network and everything like that. You can put a wireless access point in here and then kind of have it on the wall, just like even one of the Ubiquiti ones or something like that. And then you can use, Paradigm has a mobile app for iPhone and Android and everything for mobile touchscreen controls.
Okay.
Really cool. And then you can also do like basic little level changes and everything like that using Wi-Fi or an iPad, things like that. It's one of those little niceties and everything, but you do have that ability. If you want to use a PoE switcher or something like that, or PoE lab. Cool. So that's this guy. These guys, this is Mosaic. This is the more fun processor. This one is the one that does the outdoor lighting, the actual effects, the scrolling that goes around the outside. If we wanted to put the DMX fixtures in there, this is probably where I would put it as far as the theatrical lighting console, because it's more of an architainment one. I can get an effects generator in there. I can get movement, if you will, using this guy and everything. So there would be just some configuration rewrites and things like that. But yeah, this is probably where we would want to dump it, assuming there's space within the patch and everything like that. So, but yeah, this is what controls all that fun stuff, that gives you the ability of having those color changes outside. So if you do have a problem of the outdoor lights are not on or something like that, it's on a time clock from here in Mosaic. So if the outdoor lights are not on, there's 2 places to look. One, power control, make sure the breaker is on. The Paradigm's telling the breaker to turn on. The other place to look is make sure that these guys are online. And if they're not online, well, there's the problem. These are PoE powered and everything, so they're getting power from the switch. So we can just, try and do a power cycle on them if they want to, and they should just, come right back up and everything like that. And if not, then we'll go in here and have a little come to Jesus meeting with this, if you will. Because this and this are linked. If this does go offline, it will throw an error in Paradigm as well. So it will show you that. So that's this guy. This guy, your response DMX gateway. Gateway is basically DMX. I'm going to take a step back. We're going to go into a history lesson here. DMX is a control protocol that was originated in like the late 50s, early 60s, as far as a protocol to tell theatrical lights what to do, what intensity to be at. Back in those days, they were using par 64 cans with just giant lamps in there, where they would just be, all right, cool. This dimmer needs to be at 50%. DMX is the control protocol that the lighting console originates to tell that what to do. As moving lights came into existence and multi-parametered fixtures came into existence throughout the years and everything, DMX having its cap at 512 channels, we would normally, on a normal stage, would not have 512 circuits, because that's a lot of lights and everything. Granted, there are some tours and things, Def Leppard's tour, Led Zeppelin's tour, yeah, they used well more than that, so they definitely needed a couple of sets of 512, which is what we call a universe. A universe of DMX is basically 512 channels. In your case, right now, we're going to be using 4 universes of control coming out of this guy.
Okay.
So, in a theatrical sense, every cable plugged into the back of the lighting console for DMX is one universe, channels 1 through 512. If I need to do 513 through 1024, that's a second cable, and then a third cable gets added. If I need to do 4 universes of DMX control, that's 4 cables. If I need to do, God forbid, 12 universes of cable, that's 12 cables I have to run around. It's a lot of cable. It's not cheap. It's a pain in the butt to run. It really sucks. So, with multi-parametered fixtures, they take up a footprint within the DMX channeling, because every parameter or function has a channel. So in your lumen pulse fixtures above, there are 4 channel fixtures, because red is channel 1, the green functions channel 2, the blue function is channel 3, and the white functions channel 4. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 for that one fixture alone. Then the next fixture starts at address 5, and then continues on in that format until we run out of fixtures. Now, there are some fixtures that do utilize more than 4 channels, and there are fixtures that utilize up to, I've seen up to 257 channels for one light. So as you can see now, I'm eating up these universes, and I'm eating up these channels really, really quickly. Running 12 cables out of the back of a console, 300 something feet, it's a bit unnecessary. So in that world, we kind of took DMX and modified it to a TCP IP network-based protocol, and that's called streaming ACN. In this system, we're using a streaming ACN signal. What the beauty of streaming ACN has allowed us is I can now pass 64,000 universes over one friggin' Cat5 cable. 64,000 universes, multiply that by 512, how many channels of control is that? On one cable. So now I'm running one Cat5 cable from the back of my console and controlling, 64 universes of things. So I get into that because that's what this guy is doing. This guy is seeing 64,000 universes coming through. Now granted, I'm only using, in this sense, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm only using 7 universes, but all 64,000 are being transmitted. So when you go and look at this, there's a couple of different numbers. The 1, 2, 3, and 4 are designated for the port numbers on the back side of this. And then 100, 99, 99, and 3 are the universes that those ports are programmed to listen to. So when Paradigm is broadcasting content for Universe 3, Port 4 is only listening to the information for Universe 3. Doesn't care about anything else. Only Universe 3. So as soon as he hears Universe 3 information, he grabs that and then takes it, translates it from IP, because our lighting fixtures don't understand IP, they understand DMX, and translates it to DMX and spits DMX down the line to tell the lights what to do. So that's the importance of this guy. He's basically a translator that takes a network signal, transposes it to a control signal that your theatrical lights can understand. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. It's important because if you do have no control over the lighting fixtures that are on Universe 3, which are going to be the far ballroom DMX fixtures, if all of those DMX fixtures are not working and everything, then this is where we would want to start our troubleshooting at.
Okay.
But if one or two of the fixtures are not working, then that's going to point us more towards the fixture side than to be right here.
Okay.
So this is basically a really good place to start with as far as getting your information for troubleshooting, troubleshooting wise. And we'll ask you, hey, is the gateway online? You should see two lights, a blue and a green, things like that. We're going to try and walk you through it and everything, get you set up.
Okay.
And this guy down here at the bottom, UPS, battery. I mean, if we don't know what that does, then that's a problem. Battery backup, cool. So that's this boring guy right here.
Cool.
Yeah. Any questions?
Nope.
I have one more thing to show you, and that's probably one of the high-end important stuff, and that's going to be on this side of the rack. These two ugly tan-colored boxes. The color is not the greatest and everything, but that's the color ETC has chosen, and it's unfortunate, but that is what it is. So these are your emergency systems. We've had some issues in the past, and especially on this site with some emergency issues, where, excuse me, all of a sudden you have no control. You push a button, the button station is changing and showing it's changing and showing that there's communication between Paradigm and the button station, but lights aren't doing anything. Well, what's happened? That's where we need to come in here. We need to look at either this guy, Paradigm, see if he says anything panic activated or anything like that.
Okay.
Or you look at one of the sensor racks, or echo racks, excuse me. Those will say panic activated or emergency mode on or something along that vernacular. Now, if that's the case, any type of control that Paradigm issues is going to be ignored because the emergency system has been activated. The emergency system is basically saying, I'm in emergency mode, everything needs to halt, and I am now God. This has a input from a fire alarm. This is also going to be sensing for normal phase loss on normal power.
Okay.
So upon either one of those, if the fire alarm goes off, the system goes into emergency mode, which is all values at 100%. Anything that needs to, if there's any lights that are off or dim or anything that's other than 100%, they go on to 100%. This guy is the originator of the panic signal. I'm using a panic signal to tell each one of those racks over there to go into emergency mode. I'm telling this guy to go into panic mode as well. And this guy, being a DMX emergency bypass stick, is basically a one DMX in, coming from this response gateway. So we're getting DMX coming in from the response gateway that comes into the input to this guy. And then I've got 6 outputs going out to DMX fixtures and everything. So when green is good, red is bad. It's the best way to say it. We're in a normal mode. Hooray, everything's operating as it should. When you're in an emergency mode, that changes to red. You also hear clicks. That's the relays firing to turn on, and everything's in 100%. Now, the sensor racks are going to say, okay, panic activated, emergency activated, along those lines. You have no control from Paradigm. You can do whatever you want, and that's on any button station, touchscreen, whatever you want. Nothing's going to change because you're in emergency mode, and there's no changing that until the emergency has, the fire alarm has either turned off and been restored, or normal power that feeds this guy has been restored. So, troubleshooting step. If you're not in an emergency situation and this guy is in emergency mode, check your fire alarm and check the panel that feeds it.
Okay.
Conveniently enough, fire alarm's right there. How awesome is that? So you can check it from very, very quickly. I always recommend once every, I say, year, 6 months, something like that, throw this.
Okay.
make sure this guy goes red. Make sure those guys say panic activated. We don't have panic on that one, so he's not going to be doing anything. But make sure those guys do their thing. And these guys do their thing, because when you're in a mode of power loss or fire alarm situations, that's when you want to find out that this is not working. This is a very simple box. It does have one control card in there, so it does have electronics. It's pretty simple, but again, it's still electronic. It still has the potential of failing. So that's why we have the breaker on there for just a yearly test, something, just to give it a test. Throw it. When it goes red, you'll hear this guy click over. You'll hear those relays click. All right, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to hear. All is good. Fantastic. Throw it. Release it. You're set. You're done. You know it. You know it works. You know it's something.
Okay.
Any questions about anything? It's really simple. It's large.
Yeah.
But it's really simple. It's really straightforward, and it's really user friendly.
Yep.
So everything that we've done as far as touchscreen configurations, buttons configurations, and the modification of those has been done so that way you can make your changes in the field without having to call me up every other day and say, hey, I want to make this change in this, or I want to do that. However, feel free to give me a call when you do want to change. Excuse me. You want to add more presets. You want to add more things into the button stations or into the touchscreen stations. You do have the ability of adding more to the system and everything. If you find out that you're running out of space,
Okay.
we can always make that adjustment real quick and email you over over a new config to upload the Paradigm via USB stick. Simple.
Okay.
Simple.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any questions on anything?
Nope.
Cool.
Good.
Awesome. I think that's right, man.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now just don't break it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to come back here. I don't want to have to come back and fix it again.
Exactly.
So I had to already fix it once.
So,
Keyword.
who does your fire protection? Is that you have Ahern?
Summit. Yeah. No, Summit does.
Summit. So what do you do, like quarterly tests
It's every 6 months.
every 6 months? So when he does his biannual test, that should trip that, right?
Yes, it
Okay.
does, but it won't. It will only trip it from the fire alarm input. It won't trip it on the phase loss.
Right. All right.
So, because there's those two parts on it.
Yep. So
Um,
and then once a year, part of our preventative maintenance is exercising our switches.
Yeah.
So, you know, that'll be the phase loss aspect of
Yeah.
it too. So, and those usually don't correlate at the same time and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. And then I mean that's really easy, and it does have panel L3A, which I believe is that
it's
guy.
big one.
So if you wanted to go to that guy and throw either 70, 72, or 74 off,
Right.
or all three, that would do the same thing as what this blue breaker does.
Yep.
So basically, there's a header in here for the
Mhm.
three phases, your neutral and your ground.
Yep.
That comes from that guy. So the wires are coming in, landing there,
Yep.
going straight from that to this breaker, and then from the breaker to the control card.
Okay.
So basically, whether you do it from here or from that, it's still all pre the card.
Right.
So either one kind of works. This one's just it's convenient.
Right. It's there. Okay.
So, sweet. We can throw the door back on. Button her up. Or if you so want, you can leave the door off. I'm a
Yeah,
fan
it
of
looks good with doors on.
Yeah, but you lose airflow.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but you cut down on cost.
Well, the only fans in there are the switch.
Right.
Ah. Everything else is solid state. But still, dust is
Yeah.
the enemy of everything, and so it will coat everything.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, sweet.
Appreciate it.
I will make the change as far as the paradigm programming for the lobby lights.
Okay.
And I'll pull the lumen pulse fixtures off of those button stations.
Okay.
Any other programming changes that you want?
No,
Okay.
that was pretty much, honestly, that was my big complaint. Not from me to you guys, but
Yeah.
from customers to us.
Okay. Yeah, that's super simple.
Awesome.
Yeah, 1 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Works
Totally
for
fine.
me.
All right.